Letter 380 by Charles Lamb. August 10, 1825. Dear Southey, you'll know who this letter comes from by opening slapdash upon the text, as in the good old times. I never could come into the custom of envelopes. 'Tis a modern foppery. The Plinian correspondence gives no hint of such. In singleness of sheet and meaning then I thank you for your little book. I am ashamed to add a codicil of thanks for your book of the Church. I scarce feel competent to give an opinion of the latter. I have not reading enough of that kind to venture at it. I can only say the fact that I have read it with attention and interest. Being, as you know, not quite a churchman, I felt a jealousy at the Church taking to herself the whole deserts of Christianity, Catholic and Protestant, from Druid extirpation downwards. I call all good Christians the Church, Capillarians and all, but I am in too light a humor to touch these matters. May all our churches flourish. Two things staggered me in the poem, and one of them staggered both of us. I cannot away with a beautiful series of verses, as I protest they are, commencing Jenner. 'Tis like a choice banquet opened with a pill or an electuary physic stuff. T'other is, we cannot make out how Edith should be no more than 10 years old. By'r lady, we had taken her to be some 16 or upwards. We suppose you have only chosen the round number for the meter. Or poem and dedication may be both older than they pretend to, but then some hint might have been given, for, as it stands, it may only serve some day to puzzle the parish reckoning. But without inquiring further, for 'tis ungracious to look into a lady's years, the dedication is eminently pleasing and tender, and we wish Edith may Southey joy of it. Something, too, struck us as if we had heard of the death of John May. A John May's death was a few years since in the papers. We think the tale one of the quietest, prettiest things we have seen. You have been temperate in the use of localities, which generally spoil poems laid in exotic regions. You mostly cannot stir out in such things for hummingbirds and fireflies. A tree is a magnolia and see. Can I but like the truly Catholic spirit? Blame as thou mayest the papist erring creed, which in other passages brought me back to the old anthology days and the admonitory lesson to Dear George on the Vesper Bell, a little poem which retains its first hold upon me strangely. The compliment to the translatress is daintily conceived. Nothing is choicer in that sort of writing than to bring in some remote, impossible parallel, as between a great empress and the inobtrusive quiet soul who digged her noiseless way so perseveringly through that rugged Paraguay mine. How she Dobrajoffered it all out, it puzzles my slender Latinity to conjecture. Why do you seem to sanction Lander's unfeeling allegorizing away of honest Quixote? He may as well say Strap is meant to symbolize the Scottish nation before the Union, and random since that act of dubious issue, or that partridge means the mystical man, and Lady Bellaston typifies the woman upon many waters. Jebir indeed may mean the state of the hop markets last month, for anything I know to the contrary. That all Spain overflowed with romancical books, as Madge Newcastle calls them, was no reason that Cervantes should not smile at the matter of them, nor even a reason that, in another mood, he might not multiply them, deeply as he was tinctured with the essence of them. Quixote is the father of gentle ridicule, and at the same time the very depository and treasury of chivalry and highest notions. Marry, when somebody persuaded Cervantes that he meant only fun, and put him upon writing that unfortunate second part with the confederacies of that unworthy duke and most contemptible duchess, Cervantes sacrificed his instinct to his understanding. We got your little book but last night, being at Enfield, to which place we came about a month since, and are having quiet holidays. Mary walks her 12 miles a day some days, and I my 20 on others. 'Tis all holiday with me now, you know. The change works admirably. For literary news, in my poor way, I have a one-act farce going to be acted at the Haymarket. But when, is the question. 'Tis an extravaganza, and like enough to follow Mr. H. The London Magazine has shifted its publishers once more, and I shall shift myself out of it. It is fallen. My ambition is not at present higher than to write nonsense for the playhouses, to eke out a somewhat contracted income. Tempus erat. There was a time, my dear Cornwallis, when the muse, and see but I am now in Mac Flecknoe's predicament. Promised a play, and dwindled to a farce. Coleridge is better was, at least, a few weeks since, than he has been for years. His accomplishing his book at last has been a source of vigor to him. We are on a half-visit to his friend Alsop at a Mrs. Leishman's, Enfield, but expect to be at Colebrook Cottage in a week or so, where or anywhere I shall be always most happy to receive tidings from you. G. Dyer is in the height of an uxorious paradise. His honeymoon will not wane till he wax cold. Never was a more happy pair, since Acme and Septimius and longer. Farewell, with many thanks, dear S.R. loves to all round your reckon. Your old friend, C. Lamb. In the letter to Barton of March 20, 1826, Lamb continues or amplifies his remarks on his own letter-writing habits. Capillarians. The New English Dictionary gives Lamb's word in this connection as its sole example, meaning without stem. The poem, Southey's Tale of Paraguay, 1825, which begins with an address to Jenner, the physiologist. Jenner, forever shall thy honored name, and is dedicated to Edith May Southey. Edith, 10 years are numbered since the day. Edith Southey was born in 1804. The dedication was dated 1814. John May was Southey's friend and correspondent. It was not he that had died. The Vesper Bell, the Chapel Bell, which was not in the annual anthology but in Southey's poems, 1797. Dear George would perhaps be Burnet, who was at Oxford with Southey when the verses were written. The compliment to the translatress. Southey took his Tale of Paraguay from Dobrajoffer's History of the Abipones, which his niece, Sarah Coleridge, had translated. Southey remarks in the poem that could Dobrajoffer have foreseen by whom his words were to be turned into English, he would have been as pleased as when he won the ear of the Empress Queen. Landor's, allegorizing. Landor, in the conversation between Peter Leopold and the President Dupaty, makes President Dupaty say that Cervantes had deeper purpose than the satirizing of knight-errants, Don Quixote standing for the Emperor Charles V and Sancho Panza symbolizing the people. Southey quoted the passage in the notes to the proem. Lamb's Elia essay on the defect of imagination, see Vol. Roman II, amplifies this criticism of Don Quixote. A one-act farce. This was, I imagine, the pawnbroker's daughter. Although that is in 2 acts, it was not, however, acted. George Dyer had just been married to the widow of a solicitor, who lived opposite him in Clifford's Inn. Here should come 3 unimportant notes to hone with reference to the everyday book, adding an invitation to Enfield to be shown dainty spots.